Okay. Okay. Sunny Friday. Cold. Cold, but a sunny Friday. Nonetheless. Yep. And we are live. Whether people like it or not. That's exactly right. Okay. Why does Governor Mckee, why does he feel so comfortable down the dial on WMCKRO? Why is he so comfortable there? Is it because he likes they allow him to lie the way that he does? People have any idea what's about to happen? Do they know? I don't know. These bathroom threats, I'm not doing it. I get it. Something happened, electric boat. Yeah. A day off. All right. We are live in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. And yes, we'll be doing Road Patrol Live later. Plus, the weekend is here. The good news is it is going to slowly warm up. It's very difficult to be outside. If anything, it even affects the equipment, believe it or not. Look at this. It feels like 24 degrees outside. But it's actually going to start to warm up. And then tomorrow, well, more of the same. Possible snow on Sunday. Could this get any worse? All right, we are ready to roll. We're just waiting for JR to give us the cue. And then we're going to roll with it. Folks, on this Friday, and again, right now we are live on X and also on YouTube and also obviously our Facebook crowd. And then you can always listen online at our website, which is dpetro.com, as we are set to go. I am still just fascinated by this, the hunt for the gunman in New York City. Really, 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 really remarkable. With right now, that guy, as far as I know, and I'm going to keep monitoring, but right now he is still on the loose. So we're just waiting for our cue from JR, and then we will begin our broadcast. Yes. Right now, as we are standing by. Yep. Yes. And we are just about live. I believe we're just about live. I see some writing. And we're just going to begin. I'm not exactly sure what's happening. I think we're ready to begin. I think I'm just going to begin the program. Yes, there it is, folks. There is our cue at 1:06 on this frozen Friday. This is the real news that you've been waiting for right now at 1:06, and it is a frozen Friday. This weather is ridiculous on this Friday, December 6th. But and just looking at the calendar, it's hard to believe. I mean, let's see. Next Friday is the 13th. Then the 20th, then Christmas week, and then boom, we're into the next week into 2025. So, but this portion of the program, and I think this weekend is going to be a big weekend that people are going to start decorating. Maybe you haven't gotten your tree yet. Stop in and see our friends at PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. They are well underway. All your decorating, your needs for a Fraser fir trees. They have potted live trees, custom handmade wreaths, 10-inch, 60-inch in size. They have Christmas swag and mistletoe and hanging baskets and roping and cut greens, decorative pots and cemetery baskets, Christmas crafts. It's PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. Florist quality poinsettias, custom-made sleighs by local artists, Firewood is available, pickup and delivery. They're open 7 days a week. It's PR, Landscape Materials, and Garden Center. Now, as far as the website, dpetro.com, check it out. Now, we have links to all of our social media. And then on top of that, we also have all the video. Now, sometimes when there's a story of substance, we will go into great detail about the story. And we've done that on numerous occasions. Other times, really just use it to make sure so people get a sense of what are the stories and the videos that we have available. Right now, if you log on to petro.com, we have the Woonsocket body cam footage of the police, that total nutcase, that the guy that had the weapons taped on to the end of a bat. We have that footage up. We have the FBI search in Coventry. We have not only the Warwick police standoff, but then also the body cam footage, the suspect arrested. We have all the chaos from last Friday night, Hartford Avenue, and a lot more. It's happening at the website, which is depetro.com, which is brought to you by the Coesit Inn. Remember, 226 Coesit Avenue, West Warwick, free, safe parking, a delicious meal. Maybe go out to dinner tonight or this weekend. You're going to love it. The Coesit Inn, 226 Coesit Avenue, West Warwick, very spacious. Something on the menu for everyone. You could also have food delivered from the Coesit Inn, and they also have the market at Coesit, the Coesit Inn, 226 Coesit Avenue in West Warwick. Now, yes, there's some kind of a threat at Electric Boat in Quonset. Am I there? No, I am not. No, I am not there for various reasons. And we learned from doing it. Number one, Electric Boat, that's private property. So it's not like they allow me to go on and start setting everything up. Number two, it's absolutely freezing outside. Number three, Quonset security, not exactly. Listen, Quonset is essentially private property. So, right now, could I be at Quonset and in the far distance, as we're freezing, we see, that looks like a fire truck. I could have done that. In the past, we may have done that. We're clearly not there. We're not there. No, we learn from doing it. There's so much of this. Look at all these years later, and they're still dealing with threats in the bathroom. I don't know what. Maybe someone wanted the day off. I know they sent some people home. If I really thought it was legit, we would be there. We are not there. I do expect we will be out tonight with Road Patrol Live and available this weekend. I do want to touch on, I am this story of what's happened in New York City with the gunman who's still on the loose. And I want to monitor that because I would hate for news to break on it and then suddenly that it breaks over that they have located this individual. And as of right now, this is someone it's a huge manhunt that is going on. Let me just see some news that's crossing over right now. An embattled Providence Police Sergeant Joe Hanley, set to face a third trial for the beating of a handcuffed suspect, pled no contest and was sentenced to a year of probation. All right, so that is settled. But I'm seeing, and I'm glad to hear this, our friend Tom Hodgson, Sheriff Hodgson, was a guest on Newsmakers. And he talks about some of the deportation. Now, we had him on. He ran the Trump campaign for the state of Massachusetts. I've interviewed him a bunch of times. The guy is just a great guy. I think it's one of the things that's lacking. Look at that they want to do a segment on President Trump. And Channel 12 has to go into Massachusetts in order to have someone associated with the Trump campaign in the Republican Party. Read that into that what you will, but there's certainly a need. And I'm hoping that in the next, especially in the next 2 years, that the Rhode Island Republican Party can get some new members. I hope they can start to raise some money. I hope they start to, on top of that, maybe get some direction. And maybe just, become and start to realize in a little bit more of a force that they can be. Because right now, I'm telling you, I believe it would be welcomed. You don't hear that voice out there. When you have this rep, Enrique Sanchez, call for celebrating that the CEO of United Health was assassinated on the streets of New York, he's an elected Democrat rep, and nothing from the Rhode Island Republican Party on it. I don't understand that. I don't get it. Obviously, our local media has to be spoon-fed things. They're not going to go and grab that on their own. But as far as this gunman, they are a little surprised that in some circles, this guy is being treated like a hero. And I have to admit, when I first saw the Enrique Sanchez tweet, now he's the local leader, local rep, and he was commenting on that. And at the time, I thought, oh my God, that's so outrageous. But then the more you dig into it, you realize that there is something off. The fact that people are celebrating how the insurance companies and the mess and the problem that people face right now with the insurance companies. So now this individual, listen, there's no such thing as the perfect crime. And it doesn't sound, whoever this person is, who's being hailed as a folk hero, of traveled into New York, bus from, I believe Atlanta, arrived in New York, has a fake New Jersey ID, staying at youth hostels, as I said yesterday, on the Upper West Side, escapes on a bicycle. The far left loves that, saying, look at that. He's even concerned about his carbon footprint. He was very guarded, his actions, until he lowered his mask and they had a sense of what he looked like. And then on top of that, they believe they have a water bottle and a wrapper that could have his DNA, and then they can put it in a database. And it's very possible that they already have an idea of who they're looking for and they're just not revealing it. But the more you learn about, and that people, it's not something I was aware of. United Healthcare, the national average of health insurance companies that turn down and refuse and turn down claims, the national average is 15%. United Healthcare, it's 32%. And so as a result of that, this guy got a $10 million bonus, and he's hailed as the former CEO who was gunned down as a hero to all the investors. And there he is in New York, going to be treated like a king at this conference. Folks, healthcare companies, the head of a healthcare company should not be getting a bonus of $10 million. The head of a healthcare company should not be treated as a hero by investors because they're doubling the national average of turning down claims. And the more you dig into this, they created an algorithm. So anyone that was contacting United Healthcare would get this algorithm, which is AI generated. You're not dealing with a human. And no matter how many times you supply what they're looking for, no matter how many times you put in the claim, they just keep rejecting the claim and rejecting the claim. Now, again, I have no idea who this individual is. This is something you don't hear any of our local reps talk about that. But the more you encounter people, there's more people that talk about, and there's all these incredible TikTok videos of people, and even doctors, saying that they can't believe something wasn't covered and what they have to go through to try to get things covered. Now, folks, I do know locally, our healthcare system locally is like hanging on by a thread. How many people listening or watching, and you have a difficult time trying to find a general practitioner, and the amount of doctors that have fled out of the state? I mean, and Governor Mckee, by the way, has done nothing. The only person that I see that has done anything regarding trying to improve our healthcare system, it seems to be Attorney General Peter Neronha. So, and he has been very outspoken. It certainly has not seemingly been coming from the governor's office. It seems to be coming from Rhode Island Governor Dan Mckee, who, again, I don't understand why I understand why he goes on. He does his little segment. I didn't hear it, admittedly. Protect the governor, where he, the governor's going to come in and answer questions. They allow him to lie. It's a sanctuary state. But as long as he just keeps saying we're not a sanctuary state, they're content to allow him to let him come on and lie. I don't understand why people tolerate it. I don't understand why people tolerate it. Folks, this portion of our program is brought to you by Propane Plus. Contact them today at 401-885-4209. In Massachusetts, 508-252-3359 for Propane Plus. For all your heating and cooling needs, if you use propane, you want to contact Propane Plus. Call them today in Rhode Island, 401-885-4209, and in Massachusetts, 508-252-3359 for Propane Plus. Always online at propaneplus.com. You just they have a very user-friendly website. Log on at propaneplus.com. Type in residential or commercial. It's Propane Plus. 401-885-4209 or 508-252-3359 for Propane Plus. So, admittedly, I didn't hear it. I heard about it on social media, where when Governor Mckee goes down the dial and does his little segment, Protect the Governor, it's basically role playing, where one person says, are we a sanctuary state? And then the governor says, no, we're not a sanctuary state. And then they say, oh, but ICE Boston says we're a sanctuary state. And then Governor McKee's allowed to say, no, they're lying. Well, folks, listen, they can do this and they continue to do it. And they just play along with it. He's going to be called out. Now, I lean more towards that Boston could end up being the city that they make an example out of. I think Boston, I believe they are looking to make an example out of someone. And when you have that Boston City Council say, we are going to protect and continue to be a sanctuary state, and you have the mayor of Boston, Mayor Michelle Wu, and then also Governor Maura Healey, I just wonder if they are going to make an example out of them. Mayor Adams, the mayor of New York City, says he may become a Republican again. He's trying to get on board. He's trying to work with Tom Homan. He's trying to work with the administration. What doesn't make sense in our area, what is laughable is Governor McKee is still allowed by our local press, especially his radio station, where he's got his campaign surrogate holding court every afternoon. He's allowed to go on. And when they ask him, are we a sanctuary state? And he says, no, we're not. And then they just, oh, okay. And they go along with it. I'm telling you, they're going to be called out. And it doesn't make any sense that you have this pedophile from Guatemala. Why is this guy here? Why did Governor McKee instruct the ACI to release him? Of course you know why it doesn't make sense? Because of course it doesn't make sense. And it's all dictated by the progressives and the special interest. Part of it had to do with the fact of saving and preserving a congressional seat. As people started to leave the state because of lack of jobs, because of high cost, because of overtaxed, because of an unfriendly business environment with poorly run public schools, as a result of that, as people started to leave, the Rhode Island government made the decision, let's import new people in. And that's the reason they opened up the borders, because what no one talks about, you don't see, you can go on the Channel 10 website or the Channel 12 website or the Providence Journal or the Boston Globe. You won't find any stories on how many illegals are in Rhode Island. Governor McKee continues with this charade that, we don't know how many licenses we gave out. I mean, it's all here's the thing. He's allowed and tolerated to be essentially a bold-faced liar. I am telling you the game is going to change, because I'll tell you who's not going to buy that stuff is the Trump administration. Do you know right now, President Biden is essentially leaving office as the worst president ever in the history of the United States. President Biden has eclipsed President Carter. This pardoning of Hunter has rocked him to an all-time low. And don't forget, Rhode Island Governor Dan Mckee, a Biden guy, said President Biden is the greatest president Rhode Island has ever seen. What does that tell you about his judgment? Folks, this portion of the program is brought to you by Kids Club on the Pike. Now remember, birthday parties, before and after school programs, preschool programs, Kids Club on the Pike. I share their Facebook page. They're right off at 295, centrally located, right on the Johnston-Cranston line. Kids Club on the Pike. It is perfect, whether board games or the library or dancing. They have a little movie theater. Kids Club on the Pike, 50 style dancer. If you're planning a party for children, you're going to love Kids Club on the Pike. Or if you're looking for a before and after school program or preschool program, Kids Club on the Pike. It's clean, it's convenient. It's right off of 295 on Plainfield Pike at the Cranston-Johnson line. It's Kids Club on the Pike. So good afternoon, everybody, on this Friday. You know, you can see when you have Elon Musk and Vivek, and they're talking about trimming, really cutting the federal budget. And so much of it should be cut and doesn't make sense. You have to ask yourself, what states are completely reliant on federal funds? And we already know the answer to that. And that is the way, I'm not saying that Governor Mckee invented it, but he certainly perfected it. Providence, the past couple of years, the Providence public schools, their day used to go until 2:35, 2:40, I think. We've had on Dan McGowan of the Boston Globe said that he remembers like the Angel Tavares people, Mayor Tavares, celebrating when they got 5 extra minutes. So under the past couple of years, they were going to school until 2:35 or 2:40, I think. And suddenly, the federal funds dried up. So what do you think the public school teachers and the union now, what do? School lets out at whatever it is, 2 o'clock or 2:05. The only reason they were doing that, and apparently the only reason that they were, the school day was extended, even though with charter schools it's extended, but the only reason they were doing that apparently was because they were getting federal funds. And suddenly now they're talking about, number one, defunding the Department of Education. And I actually agree with that. You don't need a Department of Education. Every state has their own. We have Education Commissioner Infante Green. Why that's overlap. There's too much duplication in government. It's all just to provide government jobs. Did you know 95% of federal workers don't even go into the office every day? All that stuff's coming to an end, folks. You need leaner government. You need less taxes. They want to lower taxes. You know how you can lower taxes? With less government. So, but of all the states that may get impacted when they start to cut federal funds, a state that is completely reliant on it has been, especially, I'm not saying, you know, a lot of states welcome the federal money, but under Governor Mckee, the state is, I believe, too dependent on all the federal funds. And that seemingly is coming to an end. They're going to clean that up. You don't need all these different departments. You don't need all these federal workers. You don't. You certainly don't need people that don't even go into work 5 days a week. You don't need, if you start to look at it, it's ludicrous that the Rhode Island state budget is $14 billion. Totally ridiculous. Folks, they don't need that. It's a jobs program. Rhode Island could function with a budget well under $10 billion. What does that mean? It means $4 billion less. You don't need all those state workers. You don't need all those different departments. You don't need all these state departments have their spokespeople and PR people and blah, 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 and all this foolishness. That the whole one of the reasons why that exists is because they depend and they get so much federal money and they pump it in. I'm telling you right now, it's coming to an end. I don't believe on Smith Hill they fully recognize that or understand the magnitude of what's about to happen. And one of the things they're going to start to look at is why are we paying all this money? Now, folks, joining us right now, I've been anxious to talk to them. What really caught people's eye this week was not only the assassination of that United Healthcare CEO in New York City, but it's the style of weapon that he used. And joining us right now is my gun guy. It's our friend George with Rhode Island Guns and Ammo. Good afternoon, George.
Good afternoon, John. Happy Friday, buddy.
Happy Friday. George, take us inside. Tell us about, that was a very unusual, unique weapon that individual used in New York City. He seemed very comfortable with it. It was jamming and almost like so rehearsed, he would work through the jam and then carried that out.
Yeah, so that was definitely a unique firearm that he used, John. The modern version of that is called the B&T VP9. The original one that was made was a World War II well rod pistol, and it was a gun that was relatively used for spies. The misconception on that video, I think, those were bolt action pistols. So literally, you had to turn the back knob, pull it back in order for the next round to load into it, and then push it back forward and lock it into place. So what people are saying, the firearm was jamming. I don't think it was jamming. He was working the action to get the next round into the chamber. I think
Okay.
that's what you're seeing every time he reaches forward to start, playing with the pistol.
George, I believe I think they recovered 9mm shell casings from the scene. Obviously, it's been a lot talked about because it was handwriting on them. Is that your understanding as well, that would be 9mm shell casings?
That would definitely be a 9mm firearm. That was the version one. Again, the well rod was originally created by the British, the BT company that makes the newer one now. They only make it in 9mm. The British made ones were made in 9mm and 32 caliber. But definitely, it was a modern firearm that he used, just built on old school technology. So it was definitely, without a doubt, 9mm.
And what also stood out, George, is the fact that it was a silencer. Now, I've heard from different people, the problem with those silencers is they jam. People are familiar. They see them in a mob film or a spy film. What can you tell us about the silencer that this individual used?
Yeah, so again, the big thing with silencers, for the most part, people think that, when you have a silencer on the firearm, it totally takes care of any noise, any output from it, and really isn't the case. It muffles it down. It muffles it to a point where, you could not wear hearing protection and be okay with it, depending on what type of a silencer it really is. But if you were standing within 50, 75 yards of him firing that, you would have definitely been able to tell that that was a firearm that was going off. You would have heard it.
George, anything else stand out to you about this individual? It is, as much as he was cold and calculating and covered his face, it doesn't seem like what someone might depict as like a professional hitman. His first shot hit the CEO. I believe he hit him in the leg. So the first shot
Yeah.
was low.
Yes, definitely a novice with firearms. Again, even the choice of firearm. Not that I'm in the business of assassinating people, but if I had to do it, I definitely wouldn't have chose that firearm. And again, just the mere fact that he was standing maybe 20 feet away from him when he shot at him in the first round, hit him in the leg, will just tell you that his nerves probably got the best of him, or he was just a really horrible shot. In which case, again, he definitely wasn't a professional hitman in any sense of the word.
Now, those silencers, George, are they legal? Have you ever fired a weapon that has them? What's What's the how does someone even obtain something like that?
Yeah, so they're illegal to own in the state of Rhode Island. I believe the individual bought it. They're saying from Connecticut. I'm not sure with Connecticut law. If he bought it from a gun store, I could only assume that it was legal for this individual to purchase it from the gun store. But there's not a whole lot of states in the country, actually maybe 20 or 25, where it's legal to have a silencer somewhere in that vicinity. But I have fired many firearms that had silencers on them out of state. It's usually when we go to the SHOT Show in Las Vegas that we have the opportunity to fire these guns. And again, it takes a little bit of the sound out of shooting the firearm itself, but it doesn't totally silence the gun like you see on TV.
Yeah, if you're seeing it like a spy film, it's normally somebody comes into an apartment or office, and and the guy's standing there, and it's almost like a like
Yeah,
it almost sounds
it's
like it's totally silent. Now, George, closer to home, the holidays are here for the firearm enthusiasts, folks. Again, it's Georgia, Rhode Island Guns and Ammo, Post Road in Warwick, right off of Route 37, right down from Greg's. Hey, you know what makes a great gift is someone could pop by, see you, and grab a gift certificate for that person on their list.
Yeah, we've got gift certificates. We also got like easy grab and go stuff that we're starting to put together. We got these cleaning kits that are perfect for any gun enthusiast. So, if you got one in your family and you're not exactly sure what you want to get them, you can come in, pick up one of these cleaning kits that we put together, grab a gift certificate, wrap it all into one, and you're done. So, we definitely got a bunch of different avenues. So don't feel like you need to know anything about firearms to walk in here. We can lead you in the right direction, especially if you're buying for somebody else. Not a problem.
George, just going back to the gunman for a moment in New York, they say that I believe they think he boarded a bus in Atlanta, in Georgia, to then get to New York City. Is it possible? Is Georgia maybe one of the states that has more lax laws, so someone might be able to obtain a weapon like that?
Yeah, so it's not that the laws are lax; it's just the laws in that particular state. But yeah, again, if you ever shot a firearm with a silencer on it, it's lower, but it's not what you see on TV. It's not like what you see on the John Wick movies. When you pull the trigger on it, you can clearly tell that it was fired from a gun. But Georgia might be one of those states where suppressors are legal. We usually see a lot of this coming out of the southern states.
Okay. And they would have more of those types, the type of firearm you described, that's just it wasn't jamming. That's just the way when you're normally firing that weapon, that's the type of manner in which you need to operate it.
That's considered a bolt action firearm. So literally, there's a knob on the back. You got to give it a quarter turn. You pull it back. That's what cocks it, and then it's magazine fed right on the grip. A round would load into the cylinder. You'd push it forward, lock it into place, and then you could fire it one time, and then you'd have to repeat the motion. Again, it's a very slow firing system. Probably a very terrible pick unless he got it just because of the fact that it had a silencer on it, and he wanted to keep it a little bit lower key, so not to pull as much attention to him. But again, anybody that was within 50, 75 feet of that would have definitely heard it, would have definitely said, hey, that was a gunshot. Especially in New York, there's gunshots going off all day long over there. So, nobody thought that was a firecracker when he pulled the trigger on that.
George, pretty brazen. I mean, New York City, right in Midtown, right down from Rockefeller Center. A police officer could have been going by. I mean, that was a pretty brazen act by this assassin.
Absolutely. I mean, he was definitely, he was going to get it done. So, I mean, I think they said he sat out there for a few hours. They had video of him, out there stalking that area for hours, just waiting for this guy to come out. And it happened. He eventually he was determined to get it done, and he got it done. Unfortunately for the CEO of what was it that healthcare company,
United Healthcare, and also
United
George,
Health. Yeah.
another example of apparently now as a result of that, a lot of these security firms are their phones ringing off the hook. And why is that? Because they employ armed security guards. George, it's another reason people need to protect themselves and should stop by and see you at Rhode Island Guns and Ammo, Post Road in Warwick, right down the street from Route 37 and Greg's.
Absolutely, John. And again, at the end of the day, he did it, and no cops were around, and just out of the grace of God, nobody else got hit. But there could have been more casualties to it. And one guy standing within earshot of that sound could have changed the outcome of that. And unfortunately, there was nobody there. And you got to lay that down to the laws in New York, right? You can't own firearms. Well, it's hard to have a firearm in New York, and
Yeah.
so unfortunately, it played out the way it did.
Folks, again, he's George at Rhode Island Guns and Ammo, Post Road and Work. George, excellent job as always. We've been waiting to talk to you all week. Have a good weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, John. Talk to you soon.
All right, folks, there it is, George. He is so knowledgeable. And again, I mean that as far as I knew he would have insight as to the type of weapon that individual used. Now, at 138, so it's I just want to double check because I would hate for them to find him, and then I'm still nope, still no news on it. It's almost been a year since the West Brown Bridge was shut down. How do you think Rhode Island has handled the commuter crisis? That's a poll from Channel 10. Listen, this has been a complete disaster. It's been a complete disaster. They haven't handled it well. They haven't handled it well at all. What? No, absolutely not. And Governor Mckee, by the way, he has a piece. He wrote an op-ed for the Providence Journal, and they published it about 1 year, blah blah blah, since the bridge closure, because next week is the anniversary. And the fact of the matter is, who's even going to read that? The only reason I know of it is because someone from the Journal put it out on Twitter. Still call it that, or X. But no one's going to read that. Who right now at 1:39? How many people listening or watching? How many people are still reading the Providence Journal every morning? That's just not how people are getting their news. And look at, this past week was a good example. Channel 10, the team you can't trust, went all in on the Johnston town member that said, hey, if we build this thing in Johnston, we're going to have another Chad Brown on our hands. Channel 10 went all in on that, calling the guy a racist and blah, 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 and he should be canceled. A progressive Latino state rep, Democrat, was celebrating what happened to the United Health CEO. What kind of a story did Channel 10 do on that? Nothing. They didn't do anything on it because he's part of he's with the program. Folks, also, just a reminder, there's still time. If you're looking, you'd have to get them under the gun. But if you're looking to have your driveway or parking lot paved before the end of the year, before New Year's, make sure you pick up the phone and call J. Perry Paving and get that driveway done. There's still time. Boy, that would make a great Christmas gift. Give them a call. They're still taking calls, still out there. 401-732-1730. 401-732-1730, letter J. J. Perry Paving. Licensed and insured. If you can hear my voice, they can pave your driveway or parking lot. High quality, fair pricing, exceptional service, free estimate any project. It's J. Perry Paving. Call them 401-732-1730. 401-732-1730. It's J. Perry Paving. Well, folks, good afternoon. Right now at 1:41, this is the real news. And as of right now, this guy is still on the loose. This gunman in New York. Look at the top of the Drudge Report. The smiling assassin. We're going to get him. Day 3 of the hunt. Gunman hailed as hero by Army of Americans. Torrent of hate for insurance in torrents. Let me repeat that. Torrents of hate for insurance industry ensues. The executive's name was wiped from sites. Phones at corporate protection firms ringing off the hook. Killer arrived in New York City last month on a bus from Atlanta. Was he a hitman? Unlikely. Internet sleuths look for clues. More Joe Pardons from targets. I don't know what is going to happen with that, but it is still amazing with that this guy is still on the loose out there. But I think what has also surprised people, folks, I believe what we're is happening right now is people are moving this the country has changed. The country's moving into a different direction. The country wants to be healthy. The country wants things to go in a different direction. And that's why a lot of people are starting to explore and welcome a lot of different, health is so important. And someone who I like to feature, who has committed her career to keeping people healthy, is our friend Marie, the queen of health of It's My Health, 1099 Mendon Road in Cumberland. Good afternoon, Marie.
Good afternoon, John. Happy Friday. Happy Frigid Friday.
It is a cold one, Marie. Now, Marie, it's incredible how much the weather has quickly turned. And that's why looking forward to hearing what you're going to feature for us today.
I tried to think of some of the things that this time of year are really helpful for the immune system and also to keep us warm. So the first one would be fire cider. So also a local product. So this has a lot of different things in it that sit in apple cider vinegar for weeks and weeks and weeks. So all the goodness seeps into that apple cider, and it can be it has a little bit of a bite to it, but you can mix it, with more honey. You can put it into a tea. You can a lot of people just down a shot of it every day. Or if you're feeling cold or you feel something coming on, this is good. And then they also make an elderberry syrup. This is a company out in Warren, and they're very, very good, and their products are really good. This elderberry syrup is good. So I love the local products. Of course, honey. Betty's honey is what we carry, and we sell tons and tons of it. But this time of year, putting that in your tea or adding it to some fire cider is, can be really helpful to warm you up, to soothe a scratchy throat. There's still allergies around, but it's mostly the immune system now. And if you need some kind of sugar, local products, maple syrup, really good. This is another product. This one isn't local, but it's so tasty. It's got the elderberry and the honey in it, and it's drinking. It's a bottle that you can drink a whole of it a day. It's flavorful, but you're getting the elderberry benefit to help with your lungs and your immune system. So lots of different things we can do this time of year as it starts to get really cold to stay warm and to stay healthy.
Folks, it's Marie at It's My Health, 1099 Mendon Road in Cumberland. And on top of that, Marie has an incredible line and selection of different teas. And Marie, with this cold weather, there's nothing like a delicious hot cup of tea to warm someone up.
Yes, a nice cup of tea. I like to we have ginger juice, or I have simmered ginger with some lemon, a green tea bag, and a little bit of honey. It is yummy to sip on, but it's also really good. The ginger is very anti-inflammatory. The honey we've already talked about. Anytime you add lemon in, it's helping your pH, so it's going to help your immune system. And I make it in the morning in my Contigo mug, and then I just keep adding hot water to it all day and just keep sipping on it. That's, but we have lots of different flavored teas that you can do, that, you can incorporate. Some people like to mix and match, put them together, blend things. It can be a lot of fun, the things that you can find out, as you start to play with it.
And again, folks, it's Marie at It's My Health, 1099 Mendon Road in Cumberland. Marie, what's in store for Super Saturday tomorrow at It's My Health, 1099 Mendon Road in Cumberland?
We have Pilates classes. We have a yoga class. So if you're looking to stretch, to relax, if you're also looking for a little bit of exercise, those are some really good classes. And we have our our reflexologist who's here on Saturdays, and she's always open, Lisa. I think she's been on with you before. Lisa is a great reflexologist, and you can make an appointment with her to get your ears, your hands, your feet done, and that's our day. And then I'll be here, helping whoever comes in the door in any way that I can.
Folks, she is the queen of health. Marie, you're the greatest. Keep up the good work, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, John.
All right, folks. She also has some great gift ideas and gift things waiting for you at It's My Health, 1099 Mendon Road in Cumberland. Now, just looking at the weather forecast, now this is unusually frigid for this time of year. I'm looking at it, and it's not your imagination. It's normally not this cold this early. I'm looking at right now. It's still outside. It feels like the mid 20s, even though the temperature is about 32 degrees now. But it's going to be dry, so we're definitely going to be doing road patrol tonight, and tomorrow is the same thing. It's going to be, at least it's going to be sunny, and it's going to be dry. And then as the week goes along, the temperatures will creep up, and then midweek we get into the 50s. So good weather for that. Now, again, I am checking as of right now at 1:48. I still don't see anything about the manhunt for the gunman, but the reaction of that of how people have reacted, I think there's definitely something there that's excuse me, something needs to be done regarding our healthcare system. And I know that the focus of this election was certainly on the economy, and without question was on the border. But again, Rhode Island right now, other than Rhode Island Attorney General Peter Nerona, I don't hear a lot of talk about anyone seemingly trying to improve the healthcare system. And I'm going to come back to, you have to always look at this, is it doesn't mean what's it like right now. I think it's more of what is it going to be like, say, 5 years from now. And unless we get some real leadership, I don't see the type of leadership that the state needs. I just don't see it coming from Smith Hill, coming from the Rhode Island State House. Someone that I mentioned her yesterday, the governor of New Hampshire, Governor Kelly Ayotte. I mean, she is just her mere presence on social media is completely different than certainly Governor Healy, and then like a governor, Rhode Island Governor Dan Mckee. And I think, she's filling the void. I do want to see Biden will leave office as the most unpopular president in the history of the United States. Worst president in modern history, according to a new poll to voters in a devastating poll. This is the same person that Rhode Island Governor Dan Mckee said is the greatest president Rhode Island has ever seen. Also yesterday, not that this is big, and a lot of people won't understand this. So Governor Mckee was at Bally's for this holiday blackjack tournament, and you play and you raise money for a charity. So Governor McKee's there, and sitting to his right, I'm looking at a photo, is Frank Carpano of NBC 10. And I like Frank. I've known him for 25 years. And then next to McKee, I believe, is the CEO of Bally's. But one over from him is the old union boss. And folks, it absolutely just demonstrates how McKee is completely like controlled and a puppet to the special interest. And I'm telling you, I don't believe it doesn't get the type of coverage that it should get. So, but this governor in New Hampshire, Governor Kelly Ayotte, this is what she put out on X or Twitter. Once again, New Hampshire is the freest state in North America. Lower taxes, smaller government, and a commitment to personal freedom have made us the envy of the nation. I'm ready to work every day to protect our live free or die way of life. We kicked off the most wonderful time of the year with the Christmas tree lighting. You also have, this is again, the governor of New Hampshire, a New England state that how many people bounce back and forth to New Hampshire from Rhode Island? It's basically 90 minutes away. This is the governor of New Hampshire. You don't need a dictionary to know Massachusetts doubling down on their dangerous sanctuary policies is the definition of insanity. That's the governor of New Hampshire saying that. Now, she's giving Mckee a pass because obviously New Hampshire, is closer to Massachusetts and so many people flee there. But my point is, there is someone that gets it. There is someone that realizes, there's a niche here. There's a position to be in. For someone that's going to be in New England, we're going to have corner the market on this, as opposed to just being the same as Massachusetts and Connecticut. Folks, this portion of our program is brought to you by Watson Materials, largest selection of landscape materials in Rhode Island, South County Trail, East Greenwich. Call them. Perfect. Watson Materials is the most complete selection of landscape materials in Rhode Island. Call them for a free quote, 401-885-0600. And whether it's landscape lighting or pavers or retaining walls or natural stone, cobblestone, Watson Materials. Look for them on Facebook. Their work is first rate. 401-885-0600. So folks, right now at 153. Now, big news out of Massachusetts is, you have the U.S. Attorney in Massachusetts, Josh Levy, with the FBI arrested a member of the Boston City Council. And this is someone, she came to the country as an illegal. She rose to then be on the Boston City Council, and she was apparently experiencing financial difficulties and set up a scheme where she was giving bonuses to employees, and then they were kicking the money back to her. That U.S. Attorney in Massachusetts, that's a member of the Boston City Council. Don't you see? This is the same person that is saying that Massachusetts and Boston needs to remain a sanctuary state. The most extreme seem to be the ones that they go on to the city council, whether it's the Providence City Council or the Pawtucket City Council or the Central Falls City Council. But Providence has some of those. I am telling you, there's a reckoning coming. People, this whole business that we should have to deal with criminals. And something else that I want to mention when it comes to Governor Mckee is that no one touches on locally. What no one touches on is just the sheer cost of what it cost to operate this way, and then have to, that you and I, that we have to pay for it. I don't hear anyone even talk about that. All right, right now, could facial recognition help find man sought in the CEO killing? Experts disagreed on whether running surveillance camera images released by the police through a facial recognition system would produce a reliable lead. Well, we're about to find out. Boy, they are using everything possible to get this guy. It's also, I saw someone put, and he's casually chatting on the phone as he's walking along on the street. We don't know that. It was he appeared to be chatting on the phone. He could have just had the phone to make it seem that that's what he was preoccupied with, instead of someone who's just pacing back and forth. But I also saw culture of life, United Healthcare CEO murder mocked and celebrated by the far left. There are people celebrating that. And when you had someone, as I stated, locally that started celebrating it, they were able to do that without scrutiny. That the Channel 10 was very adamant about going after that town councilor in Johnston or whoever that was that said, this project will be the Chad Brown of Johnston in 20 years. That's the story they love. So what is that supposed to mean? That's racist. You have an elected Democrat rep celebrating the assassination of the CEO of a healthcare company, and there's no story on it. Folks, this portion of our program, now listen, if you're thinking of a new kitchen or bathroom, contact Dreammaker today, 401-433-7272, 401-433-7272. Dreammaker, Bath and Kitchen, Dennis and Christina, what a job. They could transfer your home. It's Dreammaker, their beautiful design center right on Greenwich Avenue. They're right near Crown Plaza. Call them today. Set up an appointment, 401-433-7272. One-stop shop. They take you from concept to completion. Respect, integrity, customer focus. Your dream kitchen or bathroom is waiting for you with Dreammaker. Look for them on Facebook or call them 401-433-7272 for Dreammaker. Well, folks, good afternoon. This has been quite a week. And again, we will be out with Road Patrol. I encourage you to check out the website, depetro.com. I also want to say congratulations to John Dion. It's come to my attention. This is his final program today. I mean, someone that certainly has made the most of and understood how to run a talk program and certainly get a buzz going, and certainly has made his mark. So I wanted to make sure that I mention that about John Dion. But folks, check out the website, depetro.com. And again, we have all the video. It was a very, very busy week. Who knows what's in store over the weekend? We don't know. So I want to thank JR, thank everybody for tuning in. Again, if you're listening to the radio, stay tuned for the 2:00 news. Everyone that's watching online, we will be doing Road Patrol Live later. So stay warm, and hopefully the temperatures will rise a little bit, and we'll see the latest on this, the manhunt for the gunman. Everybody stay warm. We'll be back live later with Road Patrol Live.